Hello, Mai. So, you said you'd like the story of the maze by Knit Knit Boy and Doota Boy. So, I'm in my bedroom. Do you want to have a look at my bedroom? There's a bed, there's the television, there's me in the mirror, and I've got a chair, there's the door, and I'm right here. And the story of Knit Knit Boy and the maze. So, Knit Knit Boy woke up. It was like a beautiful late autumn day where the sun was still out and it was still warm outside, the leaves were red, and it was really very beautiful. I know I said it was spring last time, but it's autumn now. And Knit Knit Boy put on his coat and his shoes, talked to his mum and dad, ran straight across, banged on the door and shouted up, "Doota Boy, Doota Boy!" And Doota Boy came down and he said, "Let's go into the wood, it's such a beautiful day." And Doota Boy said, "Yes, let's, that would be fantastic." So he told his mum and dad, and they got dressed, and off they set, and they ran. It was such a beautiful day, it was just like just full of life, just got to run, just got to run, just got to run. And they ran into the wood, and they ran, followed the path, up, down, left, right, up, down, until finally they stopped, they were out of breath. And they just had to stop there, and they looked backwards. Well, couldn't see anything, couldn't see the house, just wooden path. Looked front ways, just wooden path. It was lovely. The sun was shining down and the leaves were changing colour. It was just perfect, really. So on they went. And then something happened that had never really happened before. There was a fork in the path. Go left or they could go right. Normally the path just goes one way. It takes them to where it wants them to go. But this time it seemed to give them a choice. Doota Boy looked at Knit Knit Boy, and Knit Knit Boy looked at Doota Boy. Where shall we go? So Knit Knit Boy said, "Let's go left." So they went left, and that's where they went, and they went keep going up. And then they came to another fork. Doota Boy said, "Let's go right." So they went right. And then they went left, and then they went right. Then they came to a three-way with a left, a right, and a straight on, and they went straight on. Then they came to a big T, where you could go hard left or hard right. It wasn't even a fork, so they went left, and they went right. And they walked, each time taking a path that they just felt like going. And the sun went up, and then it came down, started to come down the other side, and the shadows started to get longer and longer and longer. And when they were in the shade, it was quite cold, so you had to stay in the sun, but as it started to get darker, Knit Knit Boy and Doota Boy started to get a bit scared. And they looked up and they started to see a few clouds coming up overhead. And Knit Knit Boy said, "I'm lost, I don't know how to get out of here." And Doota Boy said, "It's awful, God, what are we going to do?" And the shadows got longer as the sun went down and it started to get dark. And Doota Boy said, "I think we're going to have to find somewhere to camp, because I don't think that we're going to be able to get home tonight." So up ahead on the path they saw there was an overhang of a rock which hung out over the bit, and there was a bit of moss and ferns and bracken underneath it. So they went and sat down under there just in time, because the clouds had gone quite dark and it started to rain. And the rain started to come down on top of the rock, and it ran down the edges. It was like sitting behind a bit of a waterfall, but it also came down the bank behind them. And so it ran down, and it was running over them as well. They were in a bit of a river. I mean, it wasn't a huge river, because the rock was sheltering them a bit, but they were still getting wet, and the splashes of the water coming off still splashed them in the face. And the boys huddled together really tightly for warmth and for comfort. And Knit Knit Boy said, "I don't like it here." And Doota Boy said, why do you want to come out here anyway? I didn't want to come, it was all your idea." And Knit Knit Boy said, don't shout at me, I didn't choose to go left back there." And Doota Boy said, "It's always your path, you don't like it." And Knit Knit Boy said, "Oh, stop shouting at me." And they argued. It was cold, and they really did not sleep very much at all. And eventually the rain stopped, and they cuddled down, and they tried to get sleep, and but it was like having 1 or 2 hours sleep. It was like, imagine you got up really early and you went to bed really late, and your eyes were red and your body was shouty and you just wanted to fight and you just weren't very happy. And eventually the sun started to come up, and they crawled out from underneath their rock and they stood on the path. And Knit Knit Boy said, "I'm hungry." And Doodleboy had 2 sweets in his pocket, but he ate them both and didn't give anything to Nip-Nip-Boy. And Nip-Nip-Boy shouted, "What did you do that for?" And Doodleboy said, "It's all your fault!" and turned around and ran. He just ran down the path. And Nip-Nip-Boy tried to run after him, but Doodleboy was faster, and he shouted, "Don't run away, you don't know where you are!" And Doodleboy turned the corner up ahead, and Nip-Nip-Boy turned the corner, and there was no sign of Doodleboy. He must have gone one path or the other, and so Nip-Nip-Boy just stopped and sighed and just started to walk. He was all by himself now, and he felt very lonely, and he felt very upset. And so he carried on walking, following the path as the sun went up, and he took choices, and he started to feel a bit lost and upset and had no idea where he was. And suddenly he came into a bit of a clearing. It must have been the centre of the maze or something. He must have found the middle. And it was completely clear. It was grass all over it. And then in the middle there was a set of trees that went straight up with beautiful reddy brown trunks and those wonderful reddy brown leaves of autumn. And Doodleboy thought he could see some movement underneath the trunk, within the trees. He thought, "It's people, maybe they can help me, I wonder where I am." So as he walked up towards it, but then he saw there was actually quite a lot of people, 6 or 7 people, and they were just walking around and around, in and out of the trees, in and out of the trees. And they didn't seem to be responding to anything. They weren't looking at anything. Their eyes had a bit of a sort of dead, glazed expression. And then he noticed that one of the 7 people was Doodleboy. He was in there, just walking in and out, in and out. And he shouted, "Doodleboy, Doodleboy!" But Doodleboy didn't respond, and he waved at the people, but they just ignored him as if he wasn't there. And Nip-Nip-Boy thought, "I'm not going to go in there because they don't look very happy. It looks like magic, and I'm not going to go in there." So he went over, and there was a bit of a rock sticking up out of the ground, and he sat on it, and he just started to cry. And he said, "I feel so miserable. I don't want to be here. I want to be home. What am I going to do about Doodleboy? He's all stuck in there. Oh, this is too much."